During a live service on the 7th January 2021, Prophet TB Masenamela read out one of the prophecies for the year 2021, giving foresight about the reconciliation and peace between North and South Korea, that there are agents trying to sabotage, who are going to try and cause confrontation between the two countries. These were his words.
Glory to God. North Korea, South Korea. North Korea, South Korea. Reconciliation. The reconciliation between North and South Korea. There are agents there trying to sabotage the peace, the reconciliation, who will try to cause confrontation between the two countries.
North and South Korea have both tested ballistic missiles within hours of each other on Wednesday. South Korea announced it had carried out its first submarine-launched ballistic missile test. Just hours earlier, North Korea had launched two of its own ballistic missiles that landed in waters between the Korean peninsula and Japan. It was the second missile test by the North in 5 days and a violation of UN resolutions. Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga had this to say about the launch.
It threatens the peace and security of our country and the region and is outrageous. We will hold an emergency National Security Committee meeting later today. We will work closely with the United States, South Korea, and other related countries and will firmly protect people's lives and peaceful livelihoods. That is all from me.
The missile launches on Wednesday came as Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi was in South Korea meeting President Moon Jae-in. Prior to their meeting, Moon had in fact witnessed the test of the submarine-launched missile carried out by his country. Both China and South Korea are party to the so-called six-party talks format to bring about denuclearization and peace on the Korean peninsula, a commitment that was repeated at the Wang Yi-Moon Jae-in meeting.
Of course, we all want to contribute to the peace and stability of the Korean peninsula. For example, not only North Korea, but also other countries are conducting military actions. So we should have all the parties make joint efforts to resume dialogues. We will make efforts to denuclearize the Korean peninsula and establish peace. We hope for China's unwavering support and hope that Minister Wang Yi will continue to play a big role in supporting our government's efforts to develop South Korea-China relations and denuclearize and establish peace on the Korean peninsula.
The reconciliation between North and South Korea, there are agents there trying to sabotage the peace, the reconciliation, who will try to cause confrontation between the two countries.
North Korea fired a missile off its eastern coast on Tuesday. That's according to South Korea's military. And Japan's defense ministry said it appeared to be a ballistic missile, but gave no further details. The announcement came just before North Korea's ambassador to the United Nations, Kim Song, urged the US to give up its hostile policy towards Pyongyang.
We are just building up our national defense in order to defend ourselves and reliably safeguard the security and peace of the country.
North Korea has accused Seoul and Washington of double standards, saying they denounced its weapons development while continuing their own military activities.
There are agents there trying to sabotage the peace, the reconciliation, who will try to cause confrontation between the two countries.
Experts said that may have been its first cruise missile capable of carrying a nuclear warhead, a threat to its neighbours. At the same time, Washington did not mention Seoul's test of a submarine-launched ballistic missile, also fired in September. In a statement on Monday, the US military said the latest missile launch posed no immediate threat to US personnel or territory, or US allies.
These are images of the new ballistic missile, which North Korea's state media says was successfully fired from a submarine. At least one was launched on Tuesday morning near the port city of Sinpo, off the country's east coast. Pyongyang says the weapon has guidance technology, which could make it harder to track and intercept.
The advancement towards a submarine-launched missile is actually a pretty big step. I mean, the most obvious thing it gives North Korea is tremendous range, right? I mean, you could send the submarine basically anywhere in the world as long as it remains undetected, which is something of a challenge depending on the sub's age and engine type. But I mean, as long as it remains undetected, I mean, you could effectively launch from anywhere.
Both South Korea and Japan say the test was deeply regrettable. The US has condemned the launch and repeated calls for a meeting with Pyongyang.
We call on the DPRK to refrain from further provocations and engage in sustained and substantive dialogue, and our commitment to the defense of the Republic of Korea and Japan remains ironclad. These launches also underscore the urgent need for dialogue and diplomacy. Our offer remains to meet anywhere, anytime, without preconditions.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has accused the US of hostility and says his country must defend itself against its enemies. Pyongyang has conducted 8 missile tests this year, some in breach of UN sanctions. In September, it claimed to have launched a hypersonic missile. South Korea is meanwhile building up its own defenses. On Wednesday morning, President Moon Jae-in spoke at the opening of a weapons fair in Seoul.
A strong defense capacity is always aimed at ensuring peace. The Republic of Korea seeks to build a smart and strong armed forces based on state-of-the-art technology and will ensure peace with the world.
U.S. envoy Sun Kim is expected to travel to Seoul for talks with Japanese and South Korean officials later this week. Intelligence chiefs from the 3 countries met on Tuesday. China, North Korea's closest ally and trading partner, has called for all parties to exercise restraint, but it stopped short of condemning the tests. Beijing has been accused of hindering a UN report into Pyongyang's response to its sanctions. In early October, North Korea reopened communications with Seoul for the first time in months. Moon Jae-in is pushing to formally end the Korean War, which has technically been going on since the 1950s. An act he hopes will help bring Pyongyang back to the negotiating table. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera, Beijing.